This is the last episode in our series Your Money, Your Behavior, and in this episode we're bringing to you a conversation with Vineeth Narasimhan, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Kristal.AI, which is a Robo Advisory platform. Now, Vineeth began his investment journey thanks to learnings and experience from his childhood. And up until very recently, he didn't stop to question whether it was adequate and relevant for his family's financial future in today's times. A few conversations and nudges from a friend. Today, Vineeth has actually adopted a systematic financial plan instead of being focused on investments which were made thanks to many behavior biases that he had. Vineeth might think that it's a tad late to start his financial planning journey, but we believe that it's never late to begin on this path. Listen in to our conversation. Hi, Vineeth.
Hi.
So, Vineeth, earlier I had a chat with Ashish about the platform and what you guys are doing there. So we are well aware of that. But I thought since you're somebody who came into this line from a different area, so I thought it would be interesting to understand how dealing with the financial world and with investing has changed your perspective about money.
Sure. Yeah.
So tell me where you started. What was your your first job, and how you sort of dealt with money back then?
Yeah, so my background is on the technology side.
Right.
So even though I did my MBA, but I stuck on to technology. So started my career as a business analyst and then got on to the product management side.
Right.
And since my background is from really a traditional South Indian family, right? Money and wealth creation has always been a bit on the back burner for us.
Right.
It's never been a key focus, and wealth creation always kind of gets equated to real estate.
And gold.
Right? So, gold as well. But my focus has always, or my father's this thing has always been around taking a house and expanding in that direction, right? And so that's where my first real investment started as well.
But do you discuss, as growing up, did you discuss money so much, or was it only about,
Not really, not money per se, but it used to be always about a land or a house. There was discussions, and that is how I ended up equating all wealth to really property.
Right,
So,
right. When did you buy your first property?
So this was 2 years into my after my into work.
Wow.
So that is when obviously it was on a home loan.
Yeah.
But that's where it started with, right? And obviously you do get a lot of support from family to get started with that initial investment. So in fact, my first financial investment in a serious manner, leaving aside some tax saving stuff, was much later in the career, almost like 6 years or so down the line, when I made my first mutual fund tax saving investment. Proper this thing.
But you are perhaps the profile that most of us are in India. We all go to property first, tax saving, and then realize that maybe
there are other ways to grow money.
Yeah. And I think what you were saying earlier about learning this from your father, in their generation it was probably right as well, because they didn't have access like we do to market-linked products and equities and mutual funds. So for them, wealth building was about property, and it was not about taking a loan to buy that property. So those two things have changed: the access to other market-linked products which can also help you grow wealth, and the fact that now to buy property you have to take your loan is much bigger than what you can even imagine, and takes a long time to repay. So I think that has changed.
Yeah.
Did you feel the burden though of the loan?
Yeah, for quite a while, the burden was there. But then thankfully the property appreciated too, so that's where you make up for it. So I think things started really changing when a few years, right? So which was really in end of 2015. I met Ashish after a long time. He is my undergrad buddy from my undergrad days, right? But then he was in Bangalore, and we started talking about this idea of Kristal. I think last couple of years, right? So what has kind of, at least I've started realizing, is the value of financial planning, right? And beyond just real estate, right? Real estate being so illiquid, it doesn't come in handy when really there is a need.
Absolutely.
Right. So thinking a little more holistically, right? So the concept of retirement planning itself, right? So what do you do? And I have two kids, and the elder one is getting ready for college in a few years down the line. So I have to start preparing for that as well. It's no longer cheap, right? So and it's no longer government funded education.
No, and even in India, private education, college, university level is very expensive.
It is a proper thing to plan, that you need multi-year planning for. It's really that when Ashish started poking into holes into all of this and started me realizing, that has been a great learning, right?
So any one thing that made you sort of made that light go on and say that, okay, maybe I'm not doing something right?
It was really how he had started planning for his children's education, and they were more or less set, versus for me it was nothing in place at all, right? He had two kids at that time, and now he has one more, and he has a plan for all the three, and now and that's where I started thinking about it personally as well, that it is time.
But it makes sense. It makes sense to, especially because with platforms like yours, the access is there now, and you can start with small amounts. You don't have to be, unlike real estate where you can't start with small amounts.
And also children also get so much more exposed, right? So they take a global perspective. They want to study abroad. When they start asking about, okay, I want to do that, how do I fund it, right? That is an interesting challenge, because the cost of education is multifold in such a scenario.
So has that changed? Have you had more conversations about, say, money and finances with your children than perhaps you did when you were a child with your parents?
Yeah, I think it is. It has been more holistic as well, right? So it has not been so much about property. It's kind of there. So it's it's something that came from my grandfather to father to me, and then it will go down. But then we have started talking about the value of money. And the things that we have to start thinking about it more holistically, right?
And that's good. I mean, having these conversations is always
you want to make them realize as well as soon as possible that it has a lot of value, right? And it is possible to grow that money. That is.
So where do you see yourself next? I mean, is there? Of course, you would have learned a lot about how to manage money and how to plan ahead. Like you were saying, the value of financial planning. What's next for you in terms of what is still remaining that you need to do?
Frankly, for the next 3 years, I guess it's about implementing these, because all of these are pretty. I've started it late in my career and life, right? So it is the next foreseeable future is to really get it implemented to a stage where it does start getting the value back, right? Because none of these happen overnight. You have to kind of think about, build a purpose, right? But at the end of the day, the goal is that within the next 3 years, I want to come to a reasonable balance. So the way real estate used to appreciate earlier, it never does now. So, so that's why I want to kind of gradually move from one to another at the right time and bring a balance, right? I still love real estate. It's not that I don't. But the balance.
Getting a balance in life in all aspects is important. So balancing out your asset allocation also perhaps is something which is important.
Exactly.
So that's great. So you have your properties. You've started on your retirement planning. You've started on important things like your children's education planning, and overall financial planning that's making sense to you now. And even though you started late, I think better late than never. Thank you so much, Vineeth, for talking to us. And I'm sure that our viewers will also, learn a lot from your own experiences, because everybody has them at different points in life. And it's good to start whenever one realizes.
Definitely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vineeth. Thanks a lot. You heard Vineeth Narasimhan, and he is not somebody who was well versed with all his financial aspects. In fact, he was very tilted towards one end, which is properties. But thankfully, he realized the value of good financial planning, of having a balance in any aspect of life, which is important. For more such conversations and all your personal finance queries, do keep watching moneypuzzle.in. Thank you.